folks, welcome back to OmegaTimes.com. Tonight we have Brian Hay, the Director of Omega Times. Brian has picked up the ministry from Barry Smith and is carrying the torch forward. So let's pick up from where we left off, Brian, in regards to H.A.A.R.P.
Sure.
What's, we know that it's an antenna array of some sort.
Yes. All right. As I was where we left off, we were just talking about the fact that it's Tesla technology. Now, people don't realise, but way back when there was a subject, and probably people would criticise me for mentioning this, but if you understand science and you understand the facts, you will realise that this is not myth. There was a movie that was put out from Hollywood, and it's called the Philadelphia Experiment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, where they made a battleship disappear. Now, if you get on again the web at the moment on the net, and you check out some of Jesse Ventura's clips on time travel, you will begin to understand that time travel is not a big deal. And I am amazed at the Christian lack of understanding, because when you talk about God, God does not dwell in time. He is timeless, dwells in immortality, and so consequently past, present, future is not an issue with him. He is, he that was and is and who shall be. And so consequently we live in time, so time is a problem. But when you read the book of Job, for example, God took Job, placed him back, and he was able to see the actual creation of man. And he said, and I was there when I beheld the sons of God rejoice when God caused the heavens to fall into position. So God can transport a man back into the past, and he came with John and put John 2,000 years in the future. What's that? That's time travel.
Absolutely.
And so consequently, there are facts and details in science written into Einstein's theory of relativity, and there are things there that if people took the time to research it, they would understand that time and space as we know it as a continuum, there are areas that we do not understand, and nobody has the full understanding and knowledge of it. But time travel is a reality, no question about it. And it is an ill-informed mind that would debate that now. It is no longer a question or an issue. So, what Tesla did was discover all of these things and how they could do it. And they did it by a magnetic array. Okay. And so they began to develop all of this, and with magnetic resonance imagery, they were able to create a magnetic field that can literally penetrate the human brain. They can literally remove, erase, and replace your memory. People have no idea.
It's just a normal MRI machine.
Yes, specifically designed for the purpose of literally beaming this beam, this ray into the mind, and they can literally do that. So you can use the same, how can I say, system, the same program, and varying it from by a direct beam, they can actually erase the memories of the mind. So mind control. And no question about it, that's how it works. Now, Tesla was the one that discovered all of that. And so consequently, when you talk about time travel, when you talk about electromagnetics, and you're talking about UFOs, that's what it all works with. It's all in the electromagnetic spectrum. That's how it all operates. Now, consequently, the issue with the Philadelphia experiments, when they did that, Einstein was present with Tesla. When they actually did that experiment, they put a massive big electromagnetic field and coil around the battleship there in the harbor in Philadelphia, and it literally disappeared. Now, I don't want to go into that, but the point that I'm saying is this man has been the greatest scientist of all time.
I agree. Yes.
And when you go to Niagara Falls, you'll see a massive big statue of that man there, I think Czechoslovakian, and died penniless, died without any honor, the greatest scientist. And all of his experiments and all of his technology was stolen, like radio and all that, Marconi and all the rest of it. There was Tesla's technology, and they stole the ideas and they developed it. However, getting into this, there is a sanitized term for H.A.A.R.P, sanitized name, and there is what we understand is the sinister term.
Okay.
And if you understand this man, Tom Bearden, who was one of the scientists that was involved in the discovery and the actual implementation and development of that whole aerial array up there in Alaska, then you will understand that there are two names for it. So I want to just concentrate on the terminology of the acronym, which is H.A.A.R.P, and the actual military term. So it is the heterodyne. Heterosexual means human. Hetero, human. Audio, sound. Acoustic, reverberation of sound. Research project. That's the actual military term.
Okay.
And so what it has to do with Tesla's technology of sound wave. Now, people have no idea of this. They say that the most powerful thing that we know is the atomic bomb. That's nonsense. There is a power that is far greater than that, and it's the actual neutron bomb, and it literally works on sound.
Okay.
The reverberation of sound wave. And when you see an atomic explosion that takes place, you will see that the atomic explosion is here, but the actual reverberation of the effect of that sound wave that goes out from it, you will see the trees just whipping, and then they'll just snap them off. And so it has to do with sound. And so consequently, without going into a lot of the scientific detail and data about it, sound is the most powerful of all things that we understand and know. And so Tesla developed the technology to be able to harness that and utilize it. So what they did, they built in Alaska a 10 square mile aerial array, and if you go there, you can see it on the net. Just punch it in, H.A.A.R.P, and punch it in, and you'll see the aerial photographs or satellite photographs as they focus in on it. You'll see this massive big area of big pylons and cables and wires and this big aerial set up there. Now there's a big underground base, military base in underneath that monitors and controls all of that. But it is a weapon. In fact, it is the ultimate weapon that the military has. And that literal weapon can destroy a continent off the earth with sound wave. Now, they can vary the actual velocity of the actual frequency or modulation of the sound as they beam that up and then beam it off the ionosphere and bring it back down to Earth. And they can literally, with low frequency, cause earthquakes upon the Earth. And so they shake the very foundations of the tectonic plates, and literally that vibration will literally affect the whole of the core of the Earth. And as a result, they can cause massive earthquakes. Now, people say, oh, you know, that's hard to believe. Well, I say, if you understand the principle of how they use the satellites to begin to beam down to find oil, it's exactly the same principle. And you will get on the internet and you will see that those that are capable and those that know what they're doing when they're searching for oil across the world, that's exactly the same principle. That's how they find it. So it's very real, very factual.
How many of these installations is there around the world, do you think?
Okay, well, there are several. Now, most of the major nations have them. Russia has one. Here's an interesting factor. Benjamin Fulford on the internet, he tells you that he works with Japan, and he said the Japanese Yakuza actually has a model of it. And so very interesting, and so consequently, I won't go into that now, but you know, you've got all these competing cabals all around the world who, you know, in their own, you know, way out imagination or ideas of grandeur about themselves, they all want domination and they all want to control. And so consequently, it's just this mentality of Hitler again, I'm going to be the supreme leader. And they're all after it, and so everybody's understanding and learned the principles, and it's a fairly simple system of how it works. You just need the capability and the technology, the manpower and the money to build it. So
what could it be used for? Like what specific things can it be used for?
Okay, well what they do is with this massive big aerial array, what they do is they harness the power of lightning, which is far, far superior to anything we know. You see a strike of lightning or a bolt of lightning hit the earth, you know, and it can literally just smash a tree, blow a tree apart, or it can destroy anything, and just nature is amazing. However, what they do is they harness the power, and this is what I was saying before about perpetual motion. How come there's lightning in the heavens and they say, you know, we need to manufacture this? No, 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 it's there without our help. We just need to know how to harness it, and that's what Tesla did. So he called it, used the term, energy in the vacuum. And so what I was saying is that you don't need anybody else to supply it or put it in there. Energy comes out of the vacuum. You just need the technology to harness it. And as a result of that, it's very, very real, and it is incredibly powerful. Now that has been withheld from humanity by all your big power companies and all your multinationals and all the rest of it, because they realize if you get the technology, learn how it's done, you don't need them. The only way they can control us is by controlling the energy. So they lock us into fuel, they make us force us to buy petrol and petroleum for our cars, etc. But all this technology is hidden in the background. And as a result of it, if you go into the patents office, you will see they own the patents of all of this alternative technology. They buy it up, put it in the back cupboard, and then lock the cupboard.
Just like they don't want people to know that comets aren't dirt. They want them to think that they're dirty snowballs, but
exactly.
The universe is electrical, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There goes the fuels and the oil and the interesting. Do you think that H.A.A.R.P could play a part in a false flag event?
Oh, absolutely. Now, it is interesting because on one of my CDs that I did, and I done it on military technology, and watching from the heavens, you will see the array where they will beam down. For example, in the big storm that came in across New Orleans, and I forget the actual hurricane they called it, the name of it. Katrina. When that went in, now if people take the time to go and have a look and just punch in again the words H.A.A.R.P and Katrina, and you will see in the eye of the storm, here is literally a vortex that's being created from the heavens. Now these things literally, what they do with that military weapon, they beam the harnessed power that is drawn in to their Tesla coils, and they project it back in a very, very intense beam, and they will literally create a mirror in the ionosphere. And they can direct that direct beam of force and power down onto any nation, and they can literally destroy, through sound wave, every building on that land or that continent. They can destroy, and by harmonics and vibration, H.A.A.R.P, harmonics.
Is it sort of thing people wouldn't be aware of? You would feel it, or you wouldn't feel it?
No, you wouldn't feel it. If they change the frequency to an extreme, then you would, because what they do is with low frequency, it will literally destroy the buildings and leave life. But if they turn it to high frequency, the intensity of that, a high pitching scream, will literally just destroy your brain, fry your brain, destroy every living creature, and as a result leave all the buildings intact. So there's a whole variation of what they can do, but it's all worked on the basis of sound.
So you could basically write it off as a natural earthquake without knowing.
Yes. In Christchurch, see here, let me just back up. One of the big magnitude 7 earthquakes in the world a couple of years ago was in Sichuan in China. Now what they do when they actually beam the beam off the ionosphere, what they do is they have to heat the ionosphere with that power to create a mirror. And so they direct it on there and then direct it down to Earth, and then they will use it, and it will literally vibrate. Just the harmonics of it will just, low frequency, just cause a vibration and disturb the whole foundation of the tectonic plates. Now, if you go in, they're probably removed now, if I would imagine, but it's probably true. But you could see all the pictures at the time. Now, I spent a lot of time in China, and you could actually see the whole of the heavens shimmering in all these colors. That's
like an aurora type setup.
Yes, and that's what happens when they actually beam H.A.A.R.P onto the ionosphere. The whole heavens shimmer. Now that happened over Christchurch, at the earthquake there. They have got photographs of the actual vortex and the vibratory rings of the harmonics as it is beaming down on Fukoshima at the very time of the earthquake, yeah. And as I said, so say what they will, but the truth of it is that, you know, to prove that and to hold them accountable, but let me tell you one thing, United Nations demanded that America account for themselves as to why they were beaming H.A.A.R.P into there
at that time.
Fukushima, absolutely. So people don't read, so they don't know. But the fact is that they acknowledge it.
Living in scary times.
Yes, we
that
are.
Type of capability at the wrong hands, aren't we?
Very much so.
Well, I think when it comes to H.A.A.R.P, is there anything else you reckon we should know about that? Or?
Well, from my point of view, all the information's out there. People just don't take the time to find it out or check it out and don't look. And so, as I said, the Bible tells us, you know, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because we are in ignorance concerning these facts and these details of what is happening, nobody knows how to deal with it. So they just write it off as being just supposition or coincidence. And it is not. And so, if people would take the time to check out what I'm actually saying here, and I mentioned these people, Tom Bearden, and another one that is working in conjunction with that is the chemtrails thing, because very real, and there's a good, the best website you can go on to anywhere in the world is Carnicom, C-A-R-N-I-C-O-M, Carnicom.com. And it's all the scientific detail and data of what's happening in the barium, and they show you pictures of the actual chemtrails falling on the rails and train tracks and how it's corroding away. Now we're breathing all of this in, yeah, absolutely. Now what people don't realize is it's all part of H.A.A.R.P, because they need the actual heavy metals in the atmosphere in our bodies to be able to harness or hone in on us with electromagnetic beam and the electromagnetic spectrum, and it's all part of it. And so people laugh these things off and say, oh, it's foolishness, oh, it's just ridiculous, it's just you know, the old theories of you know, imaginary theories, and just trying to frame people through weird imagination. It's none of that. It's very factual and it's very true. And as we've talked before about this whole project of Agenda 21, they intend to literally eradicate a whole range of humans off the earth, and this is all part of it. So consequently, it's to try and control. And
that's the European Union?
Yes, well, it will ultimately, the UN will be literally the powerhouse of government around the world. There's no question about that. They will literally control the entire governmental agencies that control the world, apart from China and that group of nations over there, because that's where there will be this conflict in the Middle East. And Ezekiel 38 talks about that. Rosh, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and those nations of Libya and Ethiopia, Iran, and all of those nations, when they will move, but they will come against the UN and the Antichrist, who will seat himself on the throne and on the seat in Jerusalem. So there will be that conflict. But what we're watching now is the establishment of Ezekiel 38 and the alignment of those nations and the pacts that are being forged between them. And so America is literally the police force of the world government. UN becomes the world government. The police force of it becomes the United States of America, and they secede their sovereignty, the UN, and then Rome and the whole of the religious scene will form an amalgamation, an alliance, and they will then establish basically what we see as the false religion that will literally embrace all the religions around the world and bring them into one. And ultimately, we then move into the final stages of the book of Revelation. And it's so close, so close.
I did hear something the other day about this FEMA camp scenario going on there with everybody. There's a heap of military activity in there, and there's also talk of foreign troops in America. Do you want to touch on, maybe touch on
Well,
that?
okay, just quickly. The Obama administration over the last 2 weeks have passed a piece of legislation, it's House regulation or House rule, and it bypassed Congress in a great degree. And what it does, it's called continuance of government. And what it allows, that in a state of emergency, when they decree martial law because of national emergency or national security, that it then triggers an act that becomes this continuance of government. And so what then happens is the whole of the leaders of the nation go into underground bunkers, and they reign from deep in the mountains and deep in the secure places of the underground military bases. And they are huge, by the way. Some of them can house several million people, and there are many. There's 750 across the US.
20 years to build them, so they're
Yes,
pretty big.
absolutely, and they're all linked together with bullet train underground. And anyway, so continuance of government means that they will suspend the Constitution. Obama will become a lifetime president until he lifts that actual regulation again.
Okay.
So what we're seeing is dictatorship being implemented all over the world. So that's what the FEMA camps are about, to eradicate any protest or any contrary voice. And so as a result, we will not be able to protest or speak up against it. And then as a result of it, we will be rounded up if we do, and we will be eliminated. And so it's very, very real, and there are hundreds of them all over the world, not just in America, they're everywhere. We've got them here in Australia. And as a result of it, it's this whole thing again of the Agenda 21 that is implemented or planned for implementation across the whole entire planet. And it's that thing, when you get on the internet again, check out this subject, the Georgia Guidestones, have a look at the #1 commandment of the 10 commandments that are written on those Georgia Guidestones there in the state of Georgia in the US, and it tells you there that the first agenda of the 21st century under Agenda 21 is to literally bring the Earth's population down to 500 million to live in harmony with nature.
And what's the current population?
Current population is pushing on about 7.2 billion in the Earth at the moment.
And so
it's
reduce it to 500 million.
yes.
That's quite a bit.
Massive. That's what I'm saying. People have no idea what's going on, but this is their agenda. And so consequently, they will set up the dictatorship that the Bible talks about in Revelation 13. And no man will buy or sell, save he that hath a mark, and as a result they will control everybody on earth. And that's how they will gradually eliminate all opposition, and they will control every person. And so you just recently heard Henry Kissinger make that statement: if you want to control the nations, control their finance. If you want to control the people, control their health. And this is what they're doing. This is what Obamacare is all about.
Obamacare, yeah.
Absolutely. Sinister.
Well, folks, I think Brian has touched on some very interesting things tonight, and it's been a pleasure having to talk to you tonight, Brian.
Thank you.
We hope that you folks will jump onto megatimes.com and check out Brian's there's more information there with relating to these topics, and I'm sure you'll be well informed with what's going on in the world. Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.